Tommy's story as the Red Zeo Ranger is still great. Welcome back to Reamlore, and today we are continuing Tommy's big storyline as the Red Zeo Power Ranger. Make sure to check out the video we posted previously to get the full picture as we are reviewing Tommy's big storyline as the Red Zeo Ranger. And without further ado, my name is Rocko from Reamlore, and let's dive in. By the way, if you're new here, make sure to like and subscribe. We upload videos just like this one on our Reamlore channel. We upload a great new video every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday at 3 p.m, so make sure you're subscribed with that bell pressed to get notified when we upload. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers, so if you subscribe, it would mean a lot to us. Power Rangers Zeo, episode 19, Challengers. We open where we last left off with Tommy asking who his doppelganger is, but he disappears. Just then Sam appears and says if Tommy wants the truth about the guy in the arrowhead, he must go on a vision quest. It's a test where Tommy must travel up the mountain without food or water, the goal being to find the Falcon and touch it. At the youth center, Ernie got Lieutenant Stone to start teaching boxing, which Adam is interested in. Bulk and Skull then show up and get roped into boxing this really tough guy, and the lessons lead to a lot of great bits. Stone also has a hoodie that says Jerry the Rock Stone, and that confused me. He's not Dwayne Johnson. Also, his first name is Jerry? Back with Tommy in the Vision Quest, it's essentially him chasing after his doppelganger as well as the Falcon, which keeps disappearing. That seems like it would be a really annoying fetch quest. Prince Sprocket, the spoiled brat, has grown to like boxing and bases his new robot around it. Sprocket lures Adam to a junkyard to introduce him to Punch-a-Bunch. Adam morphs and we have a full-on boxing match, which is really fun. But halfway through, they just give up on the concept as the robot pulls out a mallet. Adam calls for backup, but then he disappears engulfed in flames. Rocky, Tanya, and Kat arrive to help as Clank and Orbis make Punch-a-Bunch grow. Tommy is forced to join them and he calls the Red Battlezord. How it's delivered to him too is just awesome, because the Red Battlezord is shot out of a cannon. I love Power Rangers. We then get another boxing match, and again, I just love watching the Red Battlezord fight, especially now that he has someone who punches back. Punch-a-Bunch does win the fight, but he destroys his hand as a result, so he has to retreat. Sprocket demands a rematch and sets an ultimatum, showing off Adam shrunk down to a trophy. How did they do this? Zordon explains they used magic to make it happen. Magic? The Machine Empire was using magic? Why didn't you just say this was one of Punch-a-Bunch's abilities, that once you're down he can inject you with a shrinking serum or something like that? Anyway, Sprocket says if the Rangers win they can have Adam back, but if they lose they all become his trophies. At the command center, Zordon explains the only way to break the spell is to destroy Punch-a-Bunch. And because of the Vision Quest thing, Tommy's not focused and can't control his Zord that well. With machines, Sprocket repairs and upgrades his robot with spikes on his gloves. Now it's time for round 2. This time with a ring, and yes, it is very silly. Punch-a-Bunch also has the advantage because Sprocket rigged the electrical ropes to only hit Tommy. The other Rangers show up and put an end to that and get rid of the ring. From there, it's a one-sided slaughter as Tommy just absolutely wrecks this guy with a ton of punches. At this point as well, I'm just thinking, man, I'm having a really good time. With all the cool action scenes, rocking 90s songs, intriguing storylines, and memorable characters, you just can't help but get invested. Like, I always remember Zeo being good, but it's even better than you think it is. Tommy wins, Adam gets restored, and Tommy goes back to his quest. An earthquake then happens and Tommy's doppelganger almost falls off the edge. Dude, how are you about to fall? I just saw you use teleportation shadow magic. Instead of grabbing the Falcon right there, Tommy instead saves the guy and the Falcon flies off. The doppelganger says Tommy's quest is over as he shows off he has the other half of the arrowhead, saying when he was little a wise man gave it to him. He unites the two arrowhead pieces and says his name is David Trueheart, Tommy's brother. That's the end of this episode, but how does it rank? Characterization I'm giving a 4. I mean, we don't get a ton of character this time around, but I'm adding points because Punch-a-Bunch was a very enjoyable antagonist. The story I'm giving a 4. I mean, the main story is the boxing stuff and the side story is more interesting, but both are good. Entertainment gets a 6. I'm biased, I know, but I can't help it. These episodes are so much fun to watch. Even if I didn't have massive nostalgia for it, the rock and roll and the great action just sucks you in. Importance also gets a 5. We find out Tommy has a brother. This is pretty important to watch. Episode 20, Found and Lost. Continuing on from last time, Tommy and David talk about their upbringings. Tommy was adopted by his parents, by the way, and they explain Tommy's parents didn't know about David. The story is that David was adopted into the reservation by Sam. David is actually played by Jason David Frank's real-life brother Eric Frank. Sadly, Eric passed away 5 years after this in 2001 from an unspecified illness, which is proper tragic stuff. He was only 29 years years old. David says the reason Tommy had to go on this quest was because he and Sam wanted to make sure Tommy was actually his brother, as well as a good guy since they share a big responsibility. The arrowhead is very special. It has old strong powers that let David and Sam teleport around, and if the complete version fell into the wrong hands, it would be very bad. Tommy doesn't really care and is instead stoked he has a brother. Nearby, however, Sprocket was eavesdropping on their conversation, later telling his father who has a plan. Tommy took David to the youth center to meet everybody, and we get a little more insight into his character. While at first he seemed all confident and cool, when he's interacting with people he acts very shy and closed off. He later explained the reason why is because he was a bit sheltered on the reservation and he hasn't had much experience socializing with people his own age. I have to give the creators props again. Think of season 2 when they were trying to establish characters like Rocky, Adam, Aisha, Richie, Curtis, the Dark Rangers, and there was no character given to any of them at the time. In the short time we've known David, I can already tell you a lot about him. It's really an underrated strength of Zeo, giving depth to all of its characters. I'm not kidding, even the minor characters we meet for one-off episodes are super memorable. I still remember the blind girl who knew martial arts, or the baseball jock trying to cheat in school, or the computer genius girl. Making your main characters deep is a challenge, but giving depth to one-off characters is even more challenging. So again, kudos. Bulk and Skull, meanwhile, don't believe that David is Tommy's brother and decide to go investigate. They go to a library, and I'm really sucked into the late 90s because computers were pretty new and they make a bunch of old computer jokes, like saving where you were. They even joke about how characters in 80s movies just type furiously on a keyboard to look smart. They stop, however, as they forgot to feed Goldar and Rito, and they probably got out. David, meanwhile, says he's interested in martial arts, so Tommy insists he shows them some stuff. They do a bit of sparring, and in the heat of the match, Tommy does a Johnny Lawrence and sweeps the leg. Tommy apologizes, but feeling embarrassed, David storms out. Tommy runs out to apologize, but Mondo sent Cogs and they kidnap David. Everyone meets back up at the command center, but can't find David, who is trapped in a cave below the reservation with a bunch of paintings, protected by the machine's energy field. I also didn't mention this yet, but Billy's wardrobe in this season is either black leather jackets or black turtleneck sweaters that make him look like Steve Jobs. I think it's great. The Empire then send out their robot Mace Face, and thankfully the Zeo Megazord is repaired. So they morph and head out with that and the red battle sword. The robot is called a Mace Face because he can curl up into a mace and starts thrashing the Rangers. And the fight, as always, is really cool. Mace Face thrashes them so bad our heroes have to retreat. At the command center, Billy scans the arrowhead but can't find anything special about it, which is when it starts glowing. Take note, people, this is one of the very few times Billy was actually wrong. The arrowhead shows Tommy a vision of where David is, but it fades away because Tommy doesn't know how it works. Just then Sam appears as a vision, but only Tommy can see him. Sam explains David is in danger. Well, no duh. Sam says the cave David's in was used by an ancient tribe to bury their evil spirits, and no one can last very long in there. Billy says he's been working on a way to combine all of their Zords, but unfortunately the only way to do that now is to use the Red Battle Zord's interface, meaning Tommy needs to keep his head clear while his brother is in danger. It goes about as well as you think. Tommy can't focus with his brother in danger, so they run away. At the command center, they decide to divide and conquer. The Rangers engage Mace Face while Tommy finds his brother, and Billy works on an alternative to the Zord's bad motion controls. The Rangers fight Mace Face, and it doesn't go well. Same with Billy, who can't stop the new interface from exploding every 5 seconds. Alpha found David, but the cave drawings on the walls start to come alive. Bulk and Skull, meanwhile, search for Goldar and Rito, and their solution to finding their friends, who are supposed to stay a secret, is to put up flyers. Ugh, the dumb. Stone joins them as they find Goldar and Rito, so they run away. Giving resolution to this now, they find each other in the end credits because they also put extra scenes in there sometimes. The arrowhead starts leading Tommy to his brother, but he can't get past the shield. King Mondo then appears on Earth and demands the arrowhead, and Tommy is forced to give it up. But of course King Mondo doesn't free David. I feel like you should have seen this coming, Tommy. Mondo literally has no heart. Characterization, I'm giving a 5. The stuff with David is excellent. As I've said before, in the short time we've known him, I could already tell you a lot about him. Plus, Tommy worrying about his brother is done very well. The story, I'm giving a 5. Pretty perfect across the board, starting us off happy with Tommy having a brother only to stress out with David's capture. Entertainment gets a 6. Spoilers now, all of the Zeo episodes are getting a 6. They're just so much fun. Importance, I'm giving a 5. It's an ongoing storyline, so yeah, you need to keep watching. Episode 21, Brother, Can You Spare an Arrowhead? At the start of this episode, Mondo blasts Tommy, showing off why he's the king before teleporting away. Tommy goes back back to the command center and is told he has to clear his mind since the Rangers are in trouble and the interface system is still exploding. Actually, it was exploding so much the actors had to do this take a few times. Tommy goes out with the red Battlezord and clears his head enough to merge all of the Zords into the Zeo Mega Battlezord, which looks very cool. They use the souped up cannons on the back to finally destroy May's face. Clank, meanwhile, has determined the arrowhead is made out of a very powerful stone, that when reunited with its other half, it will allow the machines to control very powerful monsters. Back with Bulk, Skull, Rito, and Goldar, Lieutenant Stone arrives, and this is when Bulk and Skull were hiding their monsters, but it leads to Stone forcing them to take a psych exam. That really should have been a day one thing, Jerry. David, meanwhile, is dealing with a monster that's formed in a cave called the Autochthon. It's a monster from myth. Tommy goes to Sam, who explains this land used to be ruled by evil spirits, but a great warrior captured them and imprisoned them inside of the arrowhead. Whoever holds the arrowhead controls the spirits, like they're the pharaoh from Yu-Gi-Oh! During this whole backstory, I can't help but think, man, I want to learn more about the guy who trapped monsters on the reservation. If I worked at Boom Studios, I would be writing a story about that warrior ASAP. Sam wishes Tommy luck as Mondo has the monster teleported out of the cave. David held on to the monster, however, so the Rangers morph and teleport to help. Mondo teleports down with some cogs and a fight breaks out. Mondo shows off the arrowhead, but instead of kicking Mondo, Tommy kicks the cogs away and gets David to safety. David wants to go back, however, as if Mondo has the arrowhead, it means he kidnapped his brother. But this is when Tommy removes his helmet and reveals his true identity. Now, looking at this through 2025 eyes, this doesn't seem like a big deal. Plenty of Power Rangers have revealed their identities. Heck, some of them don't even hide it. But keeping your Power Ranger identity a secret was a huge deal in the Zordon era. This only happened one time before this, so Tommy revealing his identity here is a big deal. The brothers hug as David explains there is a stone in the forest that will unlock the arrowhead's full power, unleashing an army of monsters even the Power Rangers can't defeat. Lieutenant Stone, meanwhile, is showing Bulk and Skull black blobs, which they think look like monsters. Skipping to the conclusion now, Stone confirms they are terrified of monsters, and in any other town they would be kicked out. But this is Angel Grove. Monsters are as common as a gust of wind. Tommy regroups with everyone at the command center who sees the machines found the stone. Mondo puts in the arrowhead, but before anything could happen, Tommy blasts them with the red Battlezord and takes the arrowhead. The Rangers then all fight Autochthon and do that cool spitting fireball thing. Clink and Orbis then make the monster grow, which shouldn't work because Orbis was designed to make robots grow, but whatever. The monster attacks the Zeo Megazord with the silly string, so Tommy summons the red Battlezord and they link up again, destroying the monster very easily. Tommy and David reunite at the youth center and decide maybe it's for the best these two halves of the arrowhead are more separated. The brothers also make up after the karate match and agree to keep hanging out, bringing the story to a close. Characterization, I'm giving a 5. The strength is and has been Tommy and his brother building a real connection after only knowing each other for a short amount of time. They have a great dynamic, and by the end of it, I'm glad they found each other. The story, I'm giving a 5. Great story across the board, and quite different having the Zords combine at the start rather than the end. Entertainment gets a 6. So much fun. That was the goal of Zeo, just have as much fun as possible. Importance, I'm giving a 5. It's a conclusion to a 4-part story, so it's a must-watch. That was a great series of episodes, but there is some more to talk about. For some bizarre reason, David doesn't come back in this series after this storyline. I really don't understand why, and his role should have been obvious. Later in the season, we meet a Gold Ranger, so based on this storyline, you'd think it was set up to make David the Gold Ranger, but we don't do it. That is really strange because usually when someone learns the Ranger's identity, it usually means they're going to become a Ranger. Even when JDF and a bunch of the cast leave during Turbo, David is not the first person we jump to, and again, why? He knows martial arts, he knows who the Rangers are, he has a pretty cool character and a great connection to Tommy. The goal should have been let's make David essential to the story and a Ranger ASAP. Now there could have been things going on behind the scenes with his health, and if that's the case, I understand, but if not, it's a big missed opportunity. As for the Zeo Gold Ranger, that is a very long story which I won't get into here. That's where things end for this storyline and the last big story for Tommy in Zeo. I mean, he had one more technically, but that story didn't really develop his character. It was more for the other Rangers who risked everything to save Tommy when he was brainwashed. Either way, this was incredible and reminded me why I like Zeo so much. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all later.